So this is bad. This is just bad. It's from The Hill. Trump announces task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias. This basically means that we're going to install white Christian nationalism as the, that's just going to be it. It's going to be installed and ensconced into power, and we're going to do everything but call it that. And fuck, we may just call it that. I don't know at this point, Cecil. I don't know. There's no such thing as anti-Christian bias. That's nonsense. There is, however, a First Amendment, and that's what this is aiming to erode. Yeah, it's definitely doing that. And I think, people who, maybe there's somebody who's hearing this and they think, oh, well, what's the problem with making sure that, there's no anti-Christian bias? That's code language for pro-LGBT rights. That's code language. When you say anti-Christian bias, they're using this to say, well, what we don't want to see is we want to see people who are pushing any LGBT rights, or we don't want to see people who are pushing women's rights, or we don't want to see people who are pushing climate change, or whatever the thing du jour is that the Christian nationalists want to see. That's the thing that they're going to try to eradicate. So understand that it's not pro-Christian as much as it is anti those other things. Yeah, I mean, remember, the Bible is a big book of bad ideas. So you can use it to do whatever you want. So if you can paint environmentalism as anti-Christian, and they do, right? If you can paint women's rights as anti-Christian, and they do, there's no end of the things they can do, right? There's literally nothing they can't find, because we talked about this before, but the real religion in America is the religion of America. Yeah. That's it. There is a new denomination, and that is American, Christian Americanism or Americana or whatever you want to call it. It is a new thing where America is worshiped first and foremost, and all the rest of it is just the bulwark that makes that worship possible. So they're going to get this is just as a backdoor for them to get what they want. School vouchers, this is school vouchers, man. This is the destruction of the public school system. I'll tell you this, it's 2025. I will be shocked if by 2027, by midterms, I will be shocked if we do not see school vouchers. Voucher system all across the country? Yep. And that will mean effectively the collapse of funding of public education. Yeah. Because that's their goal. Because if I'm a hedge fund manager, I get to start lots of schools. It's a lot of money to be made. It's a huge amount of money to be made in starting all these fucking schools. You start a bunch of schools in a bunch of nice neighborhoods, and you pull money out of the public education system, and you take this captive population of students, and you say, I'll take your troop, I'll take your voucher, I'll take your money, I'll take your voucher, I'll take your money. And you bring it in there, and you create this massive system for you to shit money into. All the incentives are to make rich people fucking richer. It's not to give your kids an education. And when they break that system, the people that get fucked the most are the people that can't afford to meet the difference between tuition and the voucher. And those people get stuck at the underfunded public schools. And that's going to happen by 2027. And that's marking my words. Yeah. And how do you change that, right? Once that's in place, now there's all these people who can easily lobby places. Yep. And then suddenly that's an ensconced system, Yep. Yeah. And remember, too, that private schools do not have to hire licensed teachers. So that's something else to consider. Public schools have to get teachers that have a teaching license. If you want to teach at fucking Joe's Catholic school, you can just be Joe's buddy. Yep. And then you can say whatever you want, and you can run any curriculum you want. There's no rules. Sure can. There's no fucking rules. So all that shit's out the fucking window now. And if it's a religious institution, nobody's checking to make sure those kids aren't beaten. And nobody's checking to make sure that those kids are taken care of by mandated reporters. All those protections, are gone. They're 100% gone. And now what you're dealing with is a private company that doesn't have any of those protections and doesn't have to share a lot of information with you. You're putting your child at risk by doing something like that. 1,000%. There's safety in their well-being, not just their education.